Maryland season is officially over.
You are Locked On Terps, your daily podcast on the Maryland Terps. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, everyone? I'm Tre Moore, video content creator for 247 Sports and InsideMarylandSports.com, and host of Locked On Terps, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. So thank you for making us part of your day. And today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. New customers join today and you'll get $200 in bonus bets if your first bet of $5 or more wins. Visit FanDuel.com/locked-on to get started. The Terps season is officially over. All the pain is done. All the good, all the bad, the ugly, the not so ugly, the good moments of this season, it's officially over. And it's hard to believe because that kind of flew by. That season was a horrible season for Maryland basketball, one of the worst I hope we see in a while. But usually when it's that bad, it usually takes a while and you're kind of just like waiting and wanting it to be over. And yes, at times I definitely was ready for this season to be done, and I was ready to move on to next season and move on to the off season and see what we could do, even though the reality of that is that things could get bad. But it really went fast, in my opinion. I don't know about what you guys think. Let me know. But this season went pretty fast, even how bad it was, how bad it finished. And it finished probably the worst possible way it could finish, on a pretty bad note that just leaves everything in question. But it feels like there was no other way to end this season rather than on the note that we are ending it on. We got absolutely demolished. And any thread of hope we had of making a fun little cool anything can happen in March type of run in the Big Ten tournament, which I continue to talk about. I kept saying anything can happen in March. I thought we had a shot at beating that Wisconsin team, but boy, was I wrong. I predicted Wisconsin to win, but anyone who thought we had some type of shot at maybe winning a couple games in the Big Ten tournament, proving that we were supposed to be a better team than what we actually ended up being, anything that you thought could have, might have, would have, could have, should have happened is officially done. Out the window. Everything that happened this season, just gone. Everything that you want to go back and fix, things that you thought we could have done better, it's over. And there is a lot to talk about in terms of Kevin Willard, in terms of how well Jameer Young finished up, and what happens with Reese, and the portal, and Derek Queen coming in next year, and all this blah, blah, blah. But right now, let's just talk about how this season ended and just how bad we just got crushed. This had to be our worst loss of the season, I think. We just got demolished by a Wisconsin team I didn't even think was that special. I'll respect that Wisconsin team. They've had some good moments. They've been even as highly ranked as 6th in the country, which you tell me if you think that should be that they should have gotten that high. I don't know. This Wisconsin team, probably a March Madness team, I think. I haven't read a ton about them in March Madness and all that, but I do think they're a March Madness team. I'm not sure exactly what seed, probably like a 7 seed or something like that. But we got absolutely crushed. We got a whipping. We got a butt whipping. That's what that was. I pre-recorded this, so what happened today for me, but yesterday for you guys against this Wisconsin team that afternoon. That was not fun to watch. It was an absolute ugly game. Final score ended up being 56-87. Just not a pretty end to the season to a team where the spread was 4.5. And it started at 3.5. I knew that line was going to move. I was like, no way that line stays there. That is going to be bet up to 4.5. And that's what happened. It was at 3.5 to start. And I saw a lot of people thought that Maryland was going to cover that. And some people thought that Maryland was actually going to win. And I think Maryland was that team that you continue to kind of want to you want to think that they could do something because you say, oh, look, they have Jameer Young there, and then they have Julian Reese down low, and if they figure out some of the shooting percentage, they're one of the top teams defensively. They got some things that feel like they had going on, but in reality, what we were as a team this year was terrible. In language I don't even want to use for how we were coached, how we played, how we shot the ball offensively was horrible the entire season. It never came together. It never meshed. And I think that Wisconsin game probably was the best thing that could happen to our program right now. I think getting knocked in the mouth like that getting punched in the mouth like that was probably the best thing that could have happened for this Maryland team, because I don't know if we even deserve to make it out the first round. Sure, we beat a bad Rutgers team, but how the Big Ten tournament works, everyone makes it. I don't even know if we deserve to be in the Big Ten tournament this year. I know everybody makes it, so you automatically get a spot. But how we have played this year, I don't know if we deserve that kind of recognition. But we never figured things out. Like, I thought we could have maybe figured a couple things out going into the tournament. I don't know why I even thought that. I thought we had a chance to maybe pull through on a couple of upsets. I was dead wrong. We beat one team. We beat the Rutgers team. That was probably one of the worst teams I have seen this year in terms of a Power 5 opponent. They were terrible, and we beat them. But going into next year, there's not going to be any more automatic qualifying for the Big Ten tournament. So there's no more like, oh, we go anyway, and there's a glimmer of hope at the end of the season. No matter what happens, that's not going to happen anymore with UCLA coming and USC. I heard there's not automatic, not everyone goes to the tournament, to the Big Ten tournament, which completely makes sense. But it only seemed right to end the season this way. It's kind of how our season has gone. Maybe not exactly. We haven't gotten crushed this year. We have gotten unlucky a lot of times. Ken Palm ranked us as one of the most unlucky teams in Division I. But overall, I don't think we deserve to be there. I didn't think we deserved to play on that court with Wisconsin. I didn't think we showed a lot of pride. But getting crushed like that is kind of how our season has gone. Horrible. And you could say maybe if it was a closer game, it was a better example of how our season has gone because of how many close games we've lost, blah, 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 all the one-possession games. But really, that was probably the best example of how our season has gone. Just absolutely getting out-coached, outshot, out-game planned, out-effort, just everything overall. That has been how our season has gone. And we end the season 16-17. Not a good record for a school that was supposed to be a basketball school, a school that has a lot of tradition of being a basketball school, a school that has a national championship. A lot of places, a lot of colleges, a lot of anyone can't say they have that, and Maryland has that in their bag. A school that has a lot of basketball history in a program that people used to want to be a part of. And there's still a lot of stuff that has to go on this offseason. But we have to fix this. I don't know if it's a coaching problem. I don't know what it is. But this program has got to get fixed. That's 2 out of the 3 last seasons being a losing season. And I don't know exactly what it is. I can point the fingers at so many different things. But to be a preseason top 3 team in the Big Ten and to end it 16-17? Come on. It's just not fair to our fans. It's just not fair to anybody that cares about Maryland basketball to have to sit through that game against Wisconsin. It wasn't supposed to be like that. Vegas, they know what they're doing with these lines. It was not supposed to be a 30-point game. I promise you that. Wisconsin's talent isn't that much different than us. I wouldn't even say they have more talent than us. Maybe they are a little bit more skilled. They shoot the ball a little bit better. But that game isn't supposed to be like that, and that's how the season has gone. We had plenty of talent this season. I really do think so. We just couldn't find a way to make it work, a way to make it mesh, a way to make things go right. And that's a lot what basketball is about. It's a lot less about the X's and O's like football is. It's rather about finding a way to play as a team, finding a way to play off different players, finding a way to get some chemistry with different guys, because the coach can only draw up so much on the basketball court. Football, it's a lot of the X's and O's. Sure, what receiver has to separate. Sure, the quarterback has to get it there. But basketball, a lot of times, you're just playing. And yes, you do different sets and all these different things, but a lot of the game is just about playing. And that's why I can't just blame it all on Kevin Willard. Don't get me wrong, Kevin Willard didn't have the guys ready to play at all, but I can't blame it all on him. But I don't want to get too much in the next segment. Segment, I'm going to talk about what went wrong in that game, Wisconsin. Specifically, I will tell you why the Terps got absolutely crushed after this ad from Robinhood. Did you know that even if you have $401,000 for retirement, you can still have an IRA? Robinhood has the only IRA that gives you a 3% boost on every dollar you contribute when you subscribe to Robinhood Gold. But get this, now through April 30th, Robinhood is even boosting every single dollar you transfer from other retirement accounts with a 3% match. That's right. No cap on the 3% match. Robinhood gets you the most for your retirement thanks to their IRA with a 3% match. This offer is good through April 30th. Get started at Robinhood.com/boost. Subscription fees apply. And now for some legal info. Claim as a Q1 2024 validated by the Radius Global Market Research. Investing involves risk, including loss. Limitations apply to IRAS and 401,000. 3% match requires Robinhood Gold for 1 year from the date of the first 3% match. Must keep Robinhood IRA for 5 years. The 3% matching on transfers is subject to specific terms and conditions. Robinhood IRA available to U.S. customers in good standing. Robinhood Financial LLC members is a registered broker-dealer. Fire TV is your destination from sports, from live games to highlights to in-depth analysis. Fire TV offers amazing viewing experience with smart TVs, as well as the Fire TV stick that you can plug into your existing TVs that provides access to millions of movies and TV episodes, as well as free and live TV. Whether it's opening weekend for baseball or the college basketball tournament, you're going to want to have Fire TV. Fire TV recently created Fire TV channels to deliver a constant supply of the latest videos from your favorite sports brands, all for free. That includes all of us at Locked On and most of the big pro leagues and college conferences as well. Fire TV channels let you dive into all the game analysis, highlights, and more to keep up to date on all the latest in the world of sports. March Madness, NBA, MLB, and lots more. Not to mention great news, entertainment, gaming, travel, cooking videos as well. Check out Fire TV channels on Fire TV and Alexa devices. If you haven't checked out Fire TV channels, you should. Trust me on this. To learn more, visit www.amazon.com/lockedonfiretv. What went wrong in the absolute getting demolished against the Wisconsin Badgers in the Big Ten tournament? When you lose 56-87, it wasn't like one small thing that went wrong. Multiple big things went wrong when you get crushed by that much against a team that isn't even supposed to be severely better than you in a way, at least in terms of how the odds were and how the line was. But some things went wrong. Definitely. And I think some things were wrong before the game even started. I think going into the game, there was stuff that I probably should have talked about that probably were going to hold us back from winning this game. And I don't want to throw shade at this player at all, but I feel like I have to talk about it. Julian Reese. I didn't even think he had a bad game, but I think he was part of the reason why a lot of stuff went wrong. There were a lot of talks before the game about him not even wanting to play, or him not playing in the Big Ten tournament, or he was going to sit out and he's just going to transfer. And I'm not saying those things are true, But having all those rumors around the team does not help. And I'm not even saying it was on Julian Reese, but just having all that atmosphere of everyone talking about Julian Reese not playing and him not wanting to be there, and then also him talking on the bench and everything during the game, that was not a good look either. And so I think some of that held us back. But that energy before the game, I wasn't sure if Julian Reese even wanted to play in this game. And I'm not saying it showed it in this game, but it showed it itself a little bit, I think. I'm not saying that's why we lost, but I do think it's part of it. I don't want to blame it on Julian Reese because he's been a huge part of our success, but I did want to start there because of how important he was to our team the entire season. Next reason is we got kind of unlucky. We got absolutely demolished, and that wasn't an unlucky loss. Like that, we've had some kind of unlucky things happen this year for sure, and we've been on the wrong side of luck all year, and it feels like you're just always you don't get the ball to bounce your way as a Maryland fan. I mean, I guess other fans might say that's not true. Feels like in football, feels like in basketball, feels like it just doesn't bounce our way a lot of the times. That the insane stuff never happens to us. I'm not saying that's true, but I do think that's a possibility sometimes. But we got unlucky. Wisconsin hit shots early. They were hitting 3-point shots that they weren't really supposed to be hitting. Guys that weren't supposed to be hitting shots were hitting shots, and they were hitting it at a high percentage or something like they made the first 5 threes or something like that. It was crazy how they shot the ball because that Wisconsin team was a solid shooting team for sure going into the year. They had a really solid 3-point percentage and all those type of things, and they were a good shooting team, but they weren't as good as that they showed in that game. They shot the ball at such a high level. They shot the ball 64% from 3. That is so hard to do anything about. You're not going to beat a Wisconsin team that shoots the ball 64%. You're not really going to beat anyone that shoots the ball 64% from 3, especially a Maryland team that hasn't shot the ball particularly well. We didn't even shoot the ball well, but a team that shoots over 60%, forget 60, over 50%, over 40% from 3. It's going to be really hard to beat them. And some of that was just unlucky. They hit a lot of shots, and sometimes there's no defense for a team that's hitting a lot of shots. Sure, maybe we could have contested a couple shots more, but I think part of it was really just unlucky. But there was kind of a lack of energy at times, which made some sense to me. And that goes back to my point that some of this game was lost before the game even started because of the fact that if you think about it, we were playing a back-to-back game. Those are hard to play. We started off playing fine. We were in the game at first, and then things started to go downhill. And that's kind of how it can go in these back-to-back games. You can start fine because you've had time to warm up and have already played a game. But when you get later on in the game, your legs get tired. It's really hard to keep going overall. It's hard. Trust me, as an athlete myself, it's hard when you're playing on back-to-back days to find that just energy within yourself in terms of your body and be able to do what you really want to do and put in the effort you want to put in. And I think that showed against the Wisconsin team. But we also just got out-rebounded, which is one of my keys to the game. We got out-rebounded pretty bad by the Wisconsin team again. They out-rebounded us in the first matchup, but this time they even out-rebounded us even worse than in the first matchup. They out-rebounded us 25-42 on the glass. That was one of the biggest reasons we lost the game. I don't know if people are going to talk about that, but that was a huge discrepancy in the rebounding. And then we also shot a much worse percentage from the free throw line. Maryland shot 60% from the free throw line compared to Wisconsin shooting 81%. The Wisconsin was high level from the line, while Maryland was pretty horrible from the line. And then Kaiser and Dante Scott also didn't play their best ball. And it was definitely a group effort, but when Kaiser and Dante Scott, 2 of your starters, didn't play well, it's hard to win the game, especially Dante Scott, because we need him. We've needed him all year. And when Maryland's been their best, a big part of it's because Dante Scott plays well. And you got to put some of the blame on Kevin Willard. Didn't have a good game plan, didn't have the guys ready to play. He definitely missed the mark on this game. We'll see what happens with him. I don't think he gets fired. We'll talk about Kevin Willard another day, but there was definitely multiple things, a lot of more stuff that went wrong, but those are kind of the basic stuff that I think went wrong. I'm very proud of a couple players, even how this game went. I will tell you about that after this ad from Nissan. This week's March Madness Bracket Highlights is brought to you by our friends at Nissan. Each week, we're picking one team that stands out, a team that's pushed it further than the rest. Just like all the new 2024 Nissan SUVs, these guys were able to take it to the next level. The Houston Cougars could only be described as the Armada. This top-seeded team is as hardcore as it gets out there, so it's no wonder they're expected to land a top seed in the tournament after their first season in the Big 12. The Tennessee Vols can only be described as a Pathfinder. They've been thrilling to watch and have really created a lane for themselves after claiming the top spot in the SEC. Player of the Year candidate Dalton Knecht has carried the Vols all season and made them a team to watch in March. The Utah State Aggies are obviously this week's Nissan Rogue. The team absolutely surprised us all with a powerful performance against New Mexico, giving them the first outright Mountain West title in program history. They say win life, go Rogue, and that's exactly what the Aggies have done here. Take the Nissan Rogue, the Nissan Pathfinder, or the Nissan Armada and go find your next big adventure. Shop NissanUSA.com. Despite the loss, I was still proud of a couple of Maryland players, particularly our two guards, Deshaun Harris-Smith and Jameer Young. I thought they both showed up. I thought they both played well. And most importantly, I thought they showed a ton of fight. I know how hard this game was for those guys. They got absolutely embarrassed on TV, and that is never a fun feeling to get absolutely just demolished in a basketball game in a media market that maybe isn't big compared to like professional sports, but for these kids it's probably pretty big in terms of that. They absolutely are going to get ripped by a lot of – like it's not going to be fun with the amount of just like backlash that some of these guys are going to get. And I love the fight that Jameer Young and Deshaun Harris-Smith still put on even when things weren't going our way. And these two have had opposite seasons. Deshaun Harris-Smith had one of the best seasons we've seen a Maryland guard have, and a first-team All-Big Ten, and he did all these big things, all these exciting things this year, and it didn't even matter because it felt like it didn't matter because we didn't play good basketball, and I'm sure he puts a lot of that on himself. And then Deshaun Harris-Smith came in as a high-level recruit and really turned it on at the end, but a lot of his season didn't shoot the ball well, didn't play well, had trouble finding his offensive rhythm. So these two players that had opposite type of seasons still found a way to finish strong, and I want to make sure I highlighted these two because I thought these two fought till the end. Jameer Young left it all out on the court. I can say that confidently, even in the games to end the season, even when he didn't shoot the ball particularly well at the end of the season. I can't even put in the words how well and how much he means to Maryland fans overall this year. Even how bad the season went, when a guy like that shows up every single day and the way all the guys talk about him, you just got to be proud. You got to realize in sports, sometimes things just don't go people's way and teams' way and all those type of things. The other team wants to win too, but when you have a player in a season like Jameer Young had, you just got to be happy with how he played overall and how he carried the team, and he carried the scoring load again per usual against Wisconsin with 18 points. But then moving on to Deshaun Harris-Smith, he was right behind him with 16 points, all scored in the second half. He put in absolutely a great effort, especially in the second half, scoring 16 of Maryland's 30 in the second half. That guy is trying. We can critique his shooting. We can critique whatever it may be about him and his limitations offensively this year. That guy went hard every single game. And at the end of the day, you can live with that. The results, you can live with the results if you know a guy like that is trying with that much effort. And I think that's why Kevin Willard had so much trust in him, is because how hard that guy works. I understand it when your shot's not going in, when you don't have confidence maybe and things are hard, but you still got to show up every single day. And that's what Deshaun Harris-Smith did. And I could not be happier for the kid because I thought he had a solid, really solid second half. like I said, scored 16 of Maryland's 30 in the second half, and he also shot the ball well against Wisconsin, went 3 of 4 from the three-point line. And you know what he said after the game? He said, I'll be in the gym tomorrow when we get back. If we could all have that type of tendency on the Maryland basketball team, if we could somehow channel what Dejon Harris-Smith is doing and this offseason really work, we can be something going into next year, depending on how Kevin Willard uses the portal. And I'm proud of Kaiser as well. He started at the end there in the Big Ten tournament. He was a big reason why we beat Rutgers. I know he didn't have his best game and didn't shoot the ball well, but I'm proud of those freshmen. They got a lot of smoke, a lot of people saying they didn't like how they were playing, but I'm proud of those two. I'm proud of Jameer Young, especially for the season he put on. That's all we have for today. Thank you for listening to Locked on Terps. Make sure you like and subscribe. We're here every day talking Maryland football and basketball, but thank you for listening to Locked on Terps.